Welcome back to At Issue. It is Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start of summer, and brace yourself because this will likely be the hottest summer on record. This past month was the warmest April since global temperatures started being tracked back in 1850, and it marked the 11th consecutive warmest month on record. May will likely keep that trend going, and the evidence is showing up in spots like Florida, where Key West just registered a heat index of 115, matching the highest mark in the state for any time of year. Now, extreme heat is just one of the ways we're feeling the impact of the climate crisis. Scientists are clear that we need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions dramatically and soon. So technologies that aid in that process are emerging as a critical piece in combating the overall issue. Now, Governor Healey wants to make Massachusetts the global hub for climate tech. Her economic development plan includes a 10-year, $1 billion investment in the state's climate technology sector. It's similar to the investment that Governor Deval Patrick made in life sciences nearly 2 decades ago.
ClimaTech is our next big historic mission, Massachusetts. Our ecosystem is world-class. We have all the ingredients that we need to become the global innovation hub for the clean energy revolution. It's so clear to me that there's no other place in the country, or frankly, on the planet, better situated to own and dominate and drive climate technology for the betterment of the planet, and certainly as a huge opportunity for economic growth and development for our state.
Now, the Healey administration, the city of Boston, and the local climate tech industry will get a chance to make its case next month. Clean energy and technology experts from around the world will come to Boston for the first Climate Tech Conference, an event focused on innovation and emerging technologies that could mitigate the impacts of climate change and create economic opportunities. Here to discuss the climate conference and the administration's plans to invest in climate tech are Dr. Emily Reichert, CEO of the Mass Clean Energy Center, an independent government entity, and Joseph Curtatone, former Somerville mayor and now president of the Northeast Clean Energy Council, a nonprofit trade group promoting adoption of clean energy and climate technologies. Guys, thanks so much for being here. We sure appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Let's start off with Emily here and talk about sort of the governor's plan. But before we get to that, let's talk about specifically what your agency is doing on a day-to-day basis, because a lot of people maybe don't even know about it.
Yes, so we're the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, and we really do 4 different things, all with climate impact in mind. So first and foremost, we support innovative young companies, the ones that we're about to talk about further and the ones that Governor Healey was talking about just a moment ago. We also try to reduce barriers to lowering carbon emissions in homes and businesses and vehicles. As well, we are supporting the offshore wind industry and creating a new industry right here in Massachusetts. And finally, we are developing the clean energy workforce for the future. So those are the things that the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center does.
So not busy at all.
No, never. No. No late nights at all.
That's right, I'm sure. Yeah, a lot of late nights and a lot of weekends as well. Now, we know the Mass CEC is going to receive a lot of the funding that we've been talking about with this Healey proposal. I think it's $700 million and then $300 million as well in a few other places. That's $1 billion or so. So where do you see that money heading on a day-to-day basis?
Well, we have a lot of plans for the $1 billion that have been proposed. So first and foremost, how is it going to be broken up? $300 million is operating funds, and that will be over a 10-year period. So it's about $30 million a year. Then we have $400 million, which will be spent again over a 10-year period. Half of it on offshore wind infrastructure. The ports we have both in New Bedford and Salem continue to grow, and we continue to need to support that industry. As well, we will be building a network of testing and demonstration and early stage manufacturing resources across the Commonwealth. And that's the other 200 of the capital resources. Then we have tax incentives. So 15 years ago, the life sciences industry received the opportunity through a bond bill, just like this one, to do tax incentives and the capital expenditure that I just mentioned. So this is really a tool to help us keep companies that are later stage in the state and attract companies from out of the state. And so we saw what happened with the life sciences industry. I think 18 out of the 20 largest life sciences companies are headquartered in Massachusetts. And based on the really strong ecosystem we already have here, we think we can do the same with climate tech.
Joe, the governor says that this is going to take just a lot of resources all over the board, whether it's workforce, whether it's just having places to put them all. So what in your mind is the most important piece? Is it more office space? Is it more resources? What do you want to see it?
The answer is yes. It's everything.
Yeah.
This is an incredible opportunity, as Governor Healey and her administration have outlined, and I want to give them full credit here and forward thinking. We have great proven lessons from the life science bill. Somerville, surrounding communities positioned themselves from then former Governor Patrick and the legislature's leadership to take advantage of that. This is all about the inextricable tie between meeting our climate action goals and unlocking that next green industrial revolution, the economic opportunity for everyone, whether you're a skilled worker, a company that's emerging, an innovator, and Massachusetts is at the epicenter of that. The world-leading regions for private sector climate tech investment, strongly based in the Northeast, maybe the West Coast of the United States, but Boston Metro, Massachusetts is one of the leading regions with more than $10.1 billion of private sector investment from 2018 to 2023. The governor, Dr. Reichert, and the leadership are spot on to double down when you say we're on the ecosystem, on our uniqueness for our innovation, our research, our great educational research institutions, and we see this sector growing at a much more rapid pace than life sciences, which we are a global hub for life sciences. I would argue many experts do as well that this has the opportunity not only on pace but surpass that and really be spread across the Commonwealth. And I'm around the Northeast region, New England, New York State. Massachusetts is an envy for what we have. So this is a smart, practical move. And we know from the Donahue Institute's analysis of it, it's projected to produce at least $16 billion of net new economic activity for the Commonwealth if we make this investment, and we should learn by the great proven lessons from the life science investment we made years ago.
So great work being done here at home, of course, but also we know this has sort of been taken international by our leaders as well, with Governor Healey going to the Vatican, Mayor Wu going to the Vatican as well. What was your guys' impression of that trip and the importance of showing that on the world stage? Start with you, Emily.
Well, I think it's quite an honor to have Governor Healey opening the conference when we're talking about global climate change. It just shows that Massachusetts leadership is admired and known throughout the world. And so what we really want to do is continue this leadership. The mayor as well. We are front and center when it comes to climate and technology. So at that conference, Governor Healey announced a Climate Careers Fund. So I just wanted to mention that. This is a really important initiative that will match private sector philanthropic capital with existing programs, both at the Mass CEC, the Department of Labor, and in the Department of Education. And it will allow for these extra needs, this kind of wraparound services, the things that people struggle to pay for when they're doing training that's going to help them on to the next phase of their career. So they might need transportation. They might need child care services. So this funding that was announced in the Climate Careers Fund is all about providing those wraparound services so that the state programs can be optimally utilized in order to make sure that we have that trained workforce we need. As we know, we need 34,000 new workers by 2030. That's a lot of work to get done, but the good news is we're on it, and Governor Healey is really showing a big leadership role in this area.
Well, I'm thinking back to like Greentown Labs as well, which I know you both are sort of tied to. But Joe, talk about bringing that forward and how that helped with workforce development and how we could sort of take the lessons learned and use it towards this.
Well, Greentown Labs is the largest climate tech incubator in North America. The person sitting to my right was the leader for a decade.
Yep.
I had the privilege of not only getting to know her, but work with Emily and the team to bring that to Somerville and grow it in less than a decade from 24 climate tech startups to over 160 just in Metro Boston alone. Those companies are being nurtured, they're excelling, they're growing, and they're establishing themselves not just geographically in this area, but in the global markets. So companies like Form Energy, that's finishing up a manufacturing site in West Virginia. Companies like Subline Systems, who've just come out of Greentown, and Spark Charge, and many, many more. It is the portal to the global climate economy right here in Boston. Why are they here? Because of the innovation, the research ecosystem. This is where folks want to be, and it's really a testimony to Emily's leadership there.
Well, yeah.
But that's something we need to leverage and understand why. And look, I'm a regionalist, I represent the region, but if you're Massachusetts, you want to keep those companies here. You know, the R&D and the manufacturing. The great thing about this economy is the opportunity for geographic equity. These companies aren't going to just be in Somerville and Cambridge and Boston, but across the Commonwealth, from Berkshires, Cape, from the North Shore to the South Coast. It's an incredible opportunity. And that everybody, global leaders and organizations come to Greentown and the Boston area on a daily basis.
Well, and Emily, maybe take a look back as well at your success there and how we can sort of build off of that in the days ahead.
Well, I think it's really taking what Greentown does to the next level. So I think that when I think about the ClimaTech ecosystem we have here in Massachusetts, we are very good at supporting the early stage companies. So they come out of the university, they're excited, they have their idea, maybe they're raising their first capital, they're taking something out of a lab bench in the university and trying it for the first time in the prototyping lab at Greentown Labs. So we have very good supports for those companies. Mass CEC provides grants as well as investment dollars for those companies, and we've got a great ecosystem of investors who are supporting them. But then the question comes, once they grow, they have a decision to make. Do they stay here and grow here, or do they decide to go elsewhere? And so the Economic Development Bond Bill, that funding is really all about keeping these later stage companies here. So when they get to that decision point, can we offer them testing and demonstration resources, early manufacturing resources, opportunities to deploy, partnerships? We can put that package together using this funding. Also, the tax incentives. This is something that really is for later stage companies that are generating revenue, right? That's generally how you get the tax benefits.
Right, yeah.
So the later stage companies, and even those who are outside of Massachusetts who want to come locate here, that is a real opportunity we have. So we do really well with the early stage, but we definitely need to up our game on the later stage to keep these very innovative young companies who have the potential to just grow tons of jobs here in our Commonwealth. We really need to double down on that.
Well, how much is the ClimaTech conference sort of part of that, of continuing this conversation and bringing everyone under this tent?
I think the conference one is going to, there's a conference that really put a focus to the Northeast region as the catalyst region for the climate economy. But Massachusetts also specifically in the ecosystem, so to really talk about the successes as well as the evolving and emerging and established innovations and technologies and the how we get to achieving our climate action goals and economic outputs we want to achieve, but also bring global attention in, because the global attention is in the Northeast. So the ClimaTech Conference is an important convening to bring the greatest thought leaders, innovators, working from innovation and investment to advocacy on issues from workforce development to grid modernization and on policy and regulation. It is a dense arena, and we want to, and complex. The goal in these convenings is to simplify the complexity and how we achieve our goals and successes there, and already celebrate what we've achieved with the Inflation Reduction Act, how Massachusetts is a global leader, as we've pointed to examples and been recognized even at the Vatican, and with the Mass Leads Act and what we've done so far. But again, then extrapolate and bring those best practices and approaches across the region globally. So ClimaTech Conference is, it's really an opportunity to bring all that forefront, how we've achieved what we're doing and what we've accomplished, and as Emily just mentioned, what is necessary to go forward. So it's a convening, and as you know, it's an inaugural convening starting June 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and it'll be a conference that'll grow globally over the next several years.
And go ahead, please.
And if I can just add, Governor Healey has put out this vision of being the climate innovation lab for the world. And I think this conference points directly to Massachusetts and what we already have to offer here. It's basically a call out to the world to say, come look. This is what's already going on here, and this is year one. It only gets better and bigger from here.
Yeah. A lot to watch for, a lot to be excited about. Of course, this is a politics show. I have to bring it back to politics at the end of the day. We're also in an election year with two very different perspectives when it comes to climate, whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump. You can probably defer which one is which. Joe, when you look at who might win in November, I mean, how does climate technology move forward? If it's a Donald Trump presidency, if it's a Joe Biden presidency, how do you view it?
It's simple. If it's Donald Trump, every effort will be made by the fossil fuel industry. And we've seen this with the former president seeking $1 billion from the leaders in the fossil fuel industry to undo all the advancements under the Biden administration. There's a lot at stake. Democracy is at stake, your reproductive rights are at stake, our basic freedoms, and our planet's existence is at stake. The elections are about, and who gets elected, about leadership and values. What are the values and who are the leaders to move forward? We're seeing great leadership in the Commonwealth and the Biden administration, in municipalities around the country and the globe in different states. So there's so much at stake here. And if Donald Trump is elected, make no mistake, he may not be able to undo some of the manufacturing advances in some of the red states that have benefited from the IRA, but he's coming after offshore wind and the majority of the IRA and take back that money. We've seen his efforts already being parroted by the likes of Governor DeSantis. You can no longer mention climate change officially. Trying to legislate that out surgically for everything that is mentioned, that is ridiculous. And that is absurd and offensive and dangerous. We've seen in our global existence where demagogues and fascist governments and leadership have done the same, to attack facts and science, politicize them, leverage that against one's fears, individual fears, to the great detriment of the people we're supposed to serve. So there's a tremendous amount of existence. So yeah, I am concerned in the industry we represent about the future of ClimaTech in this country and the advancement of the IRA. The world needs the United States to be a global leader. And so much more will fall under that consequence if we elect the former president. I have faith in the American people that they'll look carefully at leadership and values and will carry the day, but don't take it for granted, I tell people.